Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. It's been a while. I haven't posted I don't think in like a month and a half, 2 months almost. Been super busy, of course, planning for my trip and my move. It's kind of a big thing, which is why I'm doing this video. So in this video I'm going to be talking about the 10 things that I did to prepare for my move from Canada to Portugal. My last video I did do a little bit of introduction and told you why I was moving, but in this video it's going to be specific to essentially my checklist. So I hope you enjoy. In the meantime, during my intro, feel free to like and subscribe the video, or you can wait till the end. So my checklist basically was kind of the key to my whole preparation to my move. And this is, a lot of times people will just be like, okay, I'm going next week, but obviously I didn't have that privilege because I do work and I had a life basically and have a life in Canada. So really I needed all the steps to be lined up, so I was setting myself up for success. So number one, what I did was book my flight. And the reason why I booked my flight from the beginning off the bat was it actually gave me a goal date of when I had to do everything by. Because there's lots of planning involved, as you can imagine. So basically booking that flight was the key. Number two, what I did was downsize. This is so important. Obviously, going from Canada or North America to Europe, things like electronics, some of them may not be compatible there. Are you prepared to buy a converter or an adapter so that they work there? So that was one of the first things. I'm a big fan of electronics, so I had to go through every piece of my electronic equipment, TVs, monitors, and that sort of stuff to see if it was compatible, and then to see if I was willing to carry around basically for the life of that electronic item, if I wanted to have always an adapter plugged into it. Another thing that I decided to downsize was furniture pieces. So things that were super cheap and wasn't worth bringing to Portugal, I basically sold and got rid of. A few places that you can do that in is like a place like Kijiji or even Facebook Marketplace. Another thing that I had to look at is downsizing clothing. You know, living in Canada, you're used to a certain type of clothing in the winter time, in the summer, and whatever. And I really had to look at all my clothing and be like, do I really want to keep this? When was the last time I wore this? So basically this was a whole big part of my downsizing. This included food and all this stuff. So basically that was step number two. Step number three, I had to pick a transport company because I had a lot of stuff still after downsizing, things that I really wanted to keep because I found useful. This may not apply to you if you only have a few things and you can fit in 2 suitcases, or even for that matter in a backpack, but I had legit items that I still wanted to keep and move with me. So I had to look through a transport company. Step 4, and really important, is your citizenship status. You know, if you are Canadian and you're already a Portuguese citizen or an EU citizen, part of the European Union, then this makes this step super easy. But if you're not, you're going to want to go through the whole process of figure out how to get a visa, what you need to apply, and apply early. Probably you, depending your situation. In my situation, I was already a Portuguese citizen, so I already had a passport, all that stuff for Portugal, so it was pretty straightforward for me. But you're definitely going to want to not book your flight until you have your visa situation settled if you're not a citizen already. Step number 5. You're going to want to save money. Yes, money. Although Portugal is a cheaper country to live in, I don't want to say cheaper, it's definitely more affordable than, say, a place like Canada or the US or any of those types of countries. But Portugal, you definitely need money to move there. You can't just go there, and depending on your situation, if you're retired, then great, you don't have to worry so much about money. But if you're not retired and you're planning to work and live in Portugal, you're going to want to save money before you get here. Step 6, you're going to want to settle up your finances and all your accounts back in Canada, or if you're in the US, probably the same thing. So if you have things like phone bills, your mobile or cell phone, as an example, figure out when your contract is up. You're going to want to end that around the same time that that you're moving, so that way you don't have to pay like a huge fee. Figure all those things up from the get-go. Also, if you pay any types of subscription fees or whatever, plan to discontinue those, because in Europe, for the most part, some of them are actually cheaper, so it actually saves you a lot by just giving them up for a month. Something like Amazon Prime, as an example, or something like Netflix, and then so that way you're prepared to, when you do move, to just start subscriptions from the get-go. Step 7, pet transport. Like me, as you know, I have my cute little dog Mason, so it was super important. It was as important as booking my flight, because I wanted to make sure that the airline that I was going to could definitely transport my animal. If the pet was too big or too small, what the conditions were, when could the plane fly, that sort of thing. Step 8. So step 8 is find a job. So if you are retired, then this may not apply to you, but if you're not retired and you basically need a job when you get there, then you're going to want to make sure you're looking ahead of time. So one thing that's not so beneficial to someone from North America is, in Portugal, you will be making minimum wage unless you have some sort of education. If you have a university degree or any type of schooling, you're going to want to translate all that ahead of time at the Portugal Embassy or Portugal Consulate, so that way you're all prepared with documents when you arrive to Portugal. Step 9, find a place to live. So it may be very overwhelming going to a new country. If you can do a pre-trip beforehand to kind of scope up everything, then that is recommended. But if you can't, start looking at a place that you want to buy or potentially rent, and start looking at the prices. Now, usually if they don't know you, or if you're not from the country, it's tough to rent from abroad, but be prepared to pay a higher cost if you're not in the country and you're applying for a place to rent. And step number 10, the most important part, is be prepared for a calm life. So things in Portugal move a lot slower, so you're gonna have to be very patient. I'm super impatient, and I don't always have the best patience in the world, so this is one that I struggle the most, and probably one of the hardest steps out of all of this that I've had to go through is to be patient, because I'm the type of person that likes things done yesterday. And that's not always the case in Portugal, especially during the pandemic. Things have been moving a lot slower, so that's something to think about, that it's a calmer way of life. But that's why you're moving there, right? Thanks so much for watching my video. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch what I have to say, and basically just another glimpse on the internet on some of this process. If you're part of the 2% that watched my last video and subscribed, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed yet, feel free to do that right now. There should be a little cubic box somewhere on the screen right now. And I promise in the next video I will not be themed with the background. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.